Hello, Augies everywhere around the world. This is Dave Kassler, KE0OG, here with another episode of Ask Dave. I'm with our Ask Dave editor, Trevor Oman, and we're going to answer your questions. Send your questions to hamradioanswers@gmail.com. That's hamradioanswers with an S at gmail.com, and Trevor will pick that up and we'll have that for a future video. So what have we got today?
All right, Jeff asks about the compand command.
Companding. Now that's a term I haven't heard since my Air Force years back in the late 1970s. Companding is a way of dealing with the audio signal so that the highs aren't so high and the lows aren't so low, and bringing them in together, and then using a very similar algorithm at the other end to kind of break that out. I haven't heard that term used, like I say, in over 40 years. Has that question. It probably will only work with another radio having the same one, but it's something that you can try and see what it'll look like. You won't find much on the internet because companding was used as a technique by Bell Labs on the old frequency division multiplexing schemes used in the nation's long-distance telephone system, which was all replaced prior to the internet. And one of the problems with looking it up on the internet, you might find it in Wikipedia, one of the problems is the internet tends to treat anything that happened prior to the advent of the internet as not existing. So you're not going to find much on companding because that is an analog technique that was used back then. Back when I was in the Air Force, I was the telephone control officer, so I was the interface with the phone company. And I had to learn all of these, all this stuff. Yeah, I don't think you'll find much on the internet for it, and as a technique, we really don't need it these days. But I hope that helps answer your question. That was at one time a big deal.
Rodney, call sign KA0USE, is wondering about how to test a Pixie.
He said in 119, I did cover oscilloscopes, though lightly. Still, maybe one showing how to test a Pixie. Pixie is a little extremely inexpensive kit that you can get that operates on the single frequency on 40 meters and has an absolutely lousy receiver. I got my Pixie and I managed to mess it up and never did get it to work. But I'll have to do a video showing how we use the oscilloscope more for troubleshooting. I did show that on the video I did about the QCX radio from QRP Labs, where I did run into trouble, and I did use the oscilloscope to find out what the problem was with it. And I think those photos of the oscilloscope for that are in that video. But I've never done a video just on the oscilloscope. I should do that. Thank you for the topic suggestion.
Call sign MOYYV is wondering about a mini 60s analyze software.
Okay, he has a mini 60s analyzer for to download software to his Android tablet. I have no idea. This is not something I've heard of before. You can find out about it the same way that I would find out about it, which is just to search the internet. Look around for it. If you can find a manufacturer, search the manufacturer's website or give them a call.
All right. Chris, call sign W7PN, has a question about his frequency scale.
Okay. He points out an error in a drawing. He says on the left side of the receiver, the passband is 0685. I think it should be 0665. Take a look and see if that is the correct answer. I did look up the figure and I went, oh my goodness, that is in error. And this video was done more than 2 years ago. probably close to 3, and nobody has noticed the error until now. Thank you for finding that. I'll have to put a note in the text accompanying that about that error. Thank you.
Okay. Neil, call sign KC9MRW, is wondering about SSB, digital contesting for beginners.
Digital contesting. Please make a video on single sideband and digital contesting for beginners. There is an Ask Dave video about contesting. I did it a couple years ago. If you go on my channel and do a search for contesting, you should find it. You can go to my website too at dcasler.com and do a search on contesting. That may bring it up for you too. But it sounds like another video is important because of the digital aspect for contesting. Contesters are great for making lots of contacts. There are some contests where people from foreign countries participate a great deal, and that's a great way to get some DX and get it fast. And the digital contesting is usually RTTY, radio teletype, that is, and I'll have to show how that's done in a future video. Thank you for the topic suggestion.
Carl, call sign SM6OER, is wondering about how to test his HiTara radio.
Okay. About DMR, are you going to test any HiTara radios? The answer is, unless someone sends the radio to me, I have nothing to test. Usually the manufacturer sends them to me for free, so I get to keep them after I test them. Sometimes manufacturers get mad at me because I point out difficulties in their radios and then I don't get any more from them. I just got a new Redivus radio made by the same company that makes the Islands radios, and we'll be testing that very soon. I'm sorry, nobody's sent me any HiTara radios.
Neil, call sign KC9MRW, is wondering about soldering a circuit board mount holder.
Oh, you're saying it the same way the British do it, soldering.
Oh.
In the U.S. it's soldering.
Oh.
So, but yeah, I had a guy in Britain try and get me to agree to pronounce the L in soldering. The circuit board mount holder, if you go to dcasler.com/support, you'll find a page in there. One of the links on that page is to another page that has Amazon links. These are links that if you click on them and then buy it, I get a little bit of a finder's fee, and it doesn't affect your price at all. And you'll find that circuit board holder there and can get it. It's not very expensive, and I gotta tell you, I wonder how I ever got along without it.
Tony, call sign KC9QVUE, is wondering if you could do a video on Magic Band 6 meters.
6 meters is called the Magic Band. The reason it's called the Magic Band is because normally it's closed. You know, you can talk to somebody nearby, but not other people. But when it's open, oh, it can be opened anywhere in the world and do some amazing, amazing things. Could I do one about propagation of the Magic Band? Yeah, sure. We can take a look at it. By the way, FT8 has become very popular on 6 meters at a frequency of 50.313. 50.313 megahertz. It's just a lot there all the time, and that's a wonderful way to see if the band is open. Because one of the problems is if you tune across a dead band, is it open or not? If nobody's transmitting, you don't know. I remember one time I was on 12 meters, I was tuning across the band, it was absolutely dead. So I picked a spot in the middle of the single sideband portion and called CQ, had 3 stations come back to me. So it wasn't dead at all. There were at least 3 other people listening. So do put out those CQs on those dead bands from time to time and see what you get. Again, 50.313 for FT8 on 6 meters.
Anthony, call sign KD2PXE, is wondering about mechanical versus solder.
Oh, on ground connections. He says on radials for ground-mounted verticals, I say use a mechanical connection rather than solder. That's for lightning. And the problem is if you get a near strike or something like that, it can melt all that solder. And so I'd say make the mechanical connection. If you want to solder it after that, fine, but make sure that you've got a solid mechanical connection there so they don't all come off if there's a nearby lightning event. Is there something about the solder itself? No, not really. It's just make sure there's a mechanical connection in there. The reason is that a wire can handle, for an extremely brief period of time, can handle a tremendous current overflow. It will heat the wire. It will heat the wire to the point where it will melt solder on the wire, but not melt the wire itself. Now, if it's a direct lightning strike, it might melt the wire itself. In fact, I've had wires just vaporize and disappear when struck by lightning. But put that up there with a strong mechanical connection, because that will heat, but after it cools, in just, fraction of a second, it's back cool again, and the solder may have been exploded off because the solder will boil and just like this come off of the thing. But the mechanical connection will still be there. It may have damaged the wire, it may not, but at least it's intact. Well, that summarizes our questions for today. Please, again, check dcastler.com/support for ways that you can make this a viewer-supported channel. Please subscribe, please click like, and please do all those other wonderful things on YouTube and keep watching. And until the next time we meet, 73.